for good luck.
You gonna tell them what we're making? What I'm making?
Butter chicken!
So, we're preparing for a trip, and I'm trying to do some meal prepping, but I'm doing like bulk meal prepping because I'm not making food for us to eat. I'm making food for Anthony to eat while we're gone because he's gonna take care of my cats and my dogs and the house, and I want to take care of him. And he really loves my butter chicken, so I'm gonna make some butter chicken for him. I've got the chicken marinating. I already started that this morning, and what that is it's diced chicken breast, yogurt, like whole Greek yogurt that's just like plain, lemon juice, and then a bunch of seasonings. So if you can find like a butter chicken seasoning mix, use that, and if not, I have a video on the channel already that's just like my butter chicken recipe, so I'm not gonna really go into detail with that, but if you're interested, I will link that. So I've essentially tripled the regular recipe because this meal is really freezer friendly, which is nice. So I've got a great big batch of chicken. I have diced up a bunch of onions. I'm not gonna use all of this onion for, the kitten is in trouble. I'm not gonna use all this onion for the butter chicken. We're also gonna do some egg bites. And I've got like a different way of making the egg bites. And I think I wanna make a couple different flavors of egg bites, or varieties, if you will. We have some ham left in the fridge, and we've got some cheddar cheese, so we might do like ham and cheese bites. And then if the broccoli is still good, we'll make some broccoli cheddar bites or broccoli cream cheese bites. But we're gonna start with the butter chicken because it's also 7 o'clock and we haven't had dinner, so this is gonna be dinner tonight too. So I wanna get it started. We're gonna start with the onion, the garlic, the chili peppers I just did, diced them up. So we'll start those on the stove. I need to wash my hands though because I can feel the spicy on my fingers. The bonus to making all of this food now is if he doesn't eat it while we're gone, then we have food in the freezer to eat when we get home. And it's good food that we like to eat. So if he eats it all while we're gone, then that's what it's for. But if not, then we'll have some left over when we get back. Neither of which would be a bad thing.
I'm just saying, don't get your hopes up.
Well, since we are going to have some of it for dinner tonight, I'm trying to decide if we're going to put this in like individual tubs for you, or if you want to put it in like bigger tubs for you to eat on a couple of days at a time. Do you want like individual portions? No?
No.
You want a bigger tub?
Yeah.
That'll be easier, I think, for me to batch.
Easier to store too.
He's so excited.
I am excited.
He's been talking about it for a couple of days.
I love butter chicken.
So I am cooking the onions in the cast iron skillet on the stove first. I'm also dicing up a couple of these little sweet peppers. They're Thomas's sweet peppers, but they are on the verge, on the way out, and he has told me that I can have them. I'm gonna put just a couple of them in with the rest of the onions that I didn't use for the butter chicken. And I'm gonna go ahead and put them in the egg bites. So I don't wanna use a bunch of them because I'm not the biggest fan, but it's fun to have a little color, and it's another vegetable. And I have the toaster oven on the air fryer setting. It's preheating behind me. So we're actually gonna pre-cook the vegetables that are gonna go in the egg bites first before we put the eggs in, because I like to cook the vegetables a little bit before I put the eggs in. There's my cue. So I've done a couple yellow and a couple red with some of the onion. And then I'm gonna put ham in this glass baking dish. And this is actually what we're gonna cook our egg bites in. So this is like a 9 by 13. What is this? Yeah, it's a 9.25 by 13.25. And I'm gonna go ahead and spray this with cooking spray and put the onions and peppers in and cook them in the toaster oven on the air fryer setting for a few minutes. Next step, we're gonna add the garlic, the ginger, and the chili pepper to the onions that are already cooked on the stove. They're a little golden. I'm not gonna move the camera around because my hands are covered in food and I don't wanna get food on my camera.
Did we bring it?
Huh?
Did we bring it?
No, but anyway, there's a little color on the onions. We're gonna put the garlic in next and get that cooking. And then once the garlic has cooked, I'm gonna add one whole 6-ounce can of tomato paste. Keep in mind, I've tripled the recipe for this butter chicken. So there's a lot of everything. So normally I don't use this much, but today I'm gonna use the whole thing. Now I need chicken broth for the butter chicken. And since I don't have actual chicken broth, I'm using this chicken bouillon, which is actually how I generally make my butter chicken. And this typically has enough salt content that I don't need to add a whole lot of salt to it. And I never salt it until I eat it at the table. I think sometimes if you have a tendency to oversalt your food when you eat it, if you salt when you're cooking, you have a tendency to oversalt your food. So I like to kind of go like low salt when I'm cooking, and then everybody can salt to their own taste when they're eating. But I need at least 4 cups of chicken broth. We'll start with 4 and we'll see where that gets us. We're not there yet, but I wanted to get that bouillon started to dissolve in the water. And I think we're there, so now we can dilute it with some more water. Once the garlic on the stove starts to smell a little bit less like raw garlic, you know it's time to add your tomato paste. I like to cook it by itself, well, without any liquid. So I'll kind of fry it a little bit in the onions with the garlic and the chili, because I think tomato paste can taste like the can that it's coming in. So I like to cook it by itself a little bit first before I add the liquid. And we're not gonna add a lot of the liquid until after the chicken is in. I wanna dilute it a little bit, but not a lot. So we're first gonna try to cook a little bit of that aluminum tin can flavor out of the tomato paste. I found a jalapeno, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut that up. And we'll put that in the egg bites. And Mom's gonna bring in some eggs from the garage for me. The jalapenos I am not gonna cook before we put them in the eggs, because I kind of like the raw jalapeno flavor. And I don't really want the roasted jalapeno flavor in my eggs. I have the tomato paste on the stove cooking right now, by the way, so we're just gonna let that sit for a couple minutes while I do this. All right, we've got tomato paste on the stove. The onion in the, what is that, toaster oven is done cooking. I'm just gonna let it sit in there. Anthony's in the garage looking to see if we have a bag of broccoli that's not bad. That's gonna kind of determine how the rest of this goes, because I think they kind of smell.
I think this one's looking good.
Nope,
rough.
that's rough.
That one
Nope.
manageable? No.
Rotten. All right, camera battery died. While we were away, while we were at commercial break, I added some water, plain water, to the tomato paste that's on the stove. It's really thick, which is kind of what I want, because I wanted to like cook some of the moisture out of it, because I think that's kind of what makes it taste tinny. So now we're gonna mix that water in, and then it's time to add the chicken that we've been marinating since this morning. I do think it's important to marinate the chicken in the seasoning. I don't think you have to do it like days, but I think 8 to 24 hours is plenty. So this has been in since this morning. What you doing?
I was thinking about drinking something.
Oh, okay.
What?
But we're gonna stir that up, we're gonna add the chicken, and we're gonna get the chicken started cooking. And this is the part where the butter chicken starts to go real fast. And we're adding cold chicken to a hot pan. The temperature in the pan is gonna drop, and it's gonna take a little while for it to come back up, especially with the amount of butter chicken we're making. Also, I wanna make sure that I'm scraping every last bit of this stuff out of this bowl, because that's the base for our sauce. And without it, we're gonna have less sauce, and that's just not acceptable. We're gonna let that sit on the stove for a while. I have decided I'm gonna make 2 batches of egg bites. The broccoli that I was gonna use is not edible. So instead of broccoli, we're gonna do ham and cheese, and we're gonna do bacon. So I'm gonna start with 1 batch. I've got the bowl that I had the onions in, and since it's already dirty, I'm just gonna use this one. I'm gonna do a whole dozen eggs, and then we'll divide the onions that we already cooked in half, and it'll be just fine. I started making egg bites because I had never made them before, but I started making them to try to stretch our eggs and make our eggs go a little bit further because eggs are expensive right now. The price seems to be going down, kind of, but I still feel like they're obscenely expensive. So by adding things like broccoli to my eggs that I was eating for breakfast, I was able to have fewer eggs for breakfast and still feel satisfied. And I tried making them in like the cupcake tins so that each bite was like a portion size, you know. I have discovered that egg bites stick in muffin tins, and that's just really annoying to have to like clean up. So I've discovered they don't stick quite so bad in glass. So that is exactly what we're gonna be cooking them in today. Also, if you're wondering, I'm not throwing them on the floor. I've got a trash can over here. I look like Julia Childs, just like scraping it onto the floor. I'm not. Really quickly, I'm coming back to the butter chicken because it's starting to bubble up from the bottom. I'm gonna give it a quick stir, and then we're gonna leave it alone again. All right, giving the eggs a quick whisk to break them up, and then we are gonna add something that may be controversial. This is kind of new to me, so when I started making egg bites, I tried something that the TikTok girlies are doing. I added cottage cheese to my eggs. Now they say it makes them fluffy and creamy and it adds a lot of protein. And I was skeptical, but believe it or not, it actually works. It adds protein to your eggs. It does make them fluffy and creamy. And I just love cottage cheese, so it's kind of nice to have something like this in your eggs. And I really like it because it doesn't melt in your eggs, so when you eat it, you kind of get little bites of like the creamy cottage cheese curds in your eggs. I don't know, I like it. And nobody else has complained, so I'm gonna keep doing it. And like I said, it's not eggs, so it's more volume. It's not high calorie. It's good for me, and it's less expensive than adding more eggs. I'm gonna dice up the ham that I'm gonna add to the egg bites. And the really cool thing about this is I'm trying to clear out the fridge too, you know, and get rid of some stuff. So like the cottage cheese is gonna go bad. Anthony's not gonna eat it on its own, but if I put it in the egg bites, he'll, you know, eat the egg bites, right? This ham is gonna go bad soon, so I wanna use it up if I can. And this is a great way to kind of clear out the fridge, do some meal prep, and it's not wasteful. So, got my eggs, put the ham in here, and then Anthony's gonna have breakfast for a while I'm gone. All right, detour back to the butter chicken. It smells amazing. The chicken's cooking, stirring it again, but I'm not gonna add anything to it, just gonna let it keep cooking. At least I'm not gonna add anything to it right now. I'm gonna let the chicken cook all the way, and it's got a ways to go because it's such a big batch. Into the egg mixture, I'm gonna add some shredded cheddar cheese. And again, this is something that's gonna go bad while I'm gone. So either it needs to go into the freezer or I can cook with it. And actually these egg bites are probably gonna go into the freezer. But somehow I think it's more likely to get eaten as an egg bite than it is on its own. Okay, so the onions and the peppers that I did cook are cooked enough for me to add the eggs to them. I'm gonna take some of them out and put them with the jalapenos that I've cut up. And I'll save them for the next batch of egg bites. And it does not have to be perfect. We are cooking. It is not a science. So into this pan, I'm gonna pour the eggs, the whole mixture, just really carefully. I'm gonna make sure to get all that ham out of there. And remember, we already panned this pan, so it is still warm. I'm gonna go ahead and put this back into the toaster oven. We're gonna cook it, I think 360 for 10 minutes, and we'll see where we're at. In the meantime, I'm gonna prepare the next batch of egg bites. So I'll just crack all the other eggs. We're gonna use bacon for these. We have like frozen bacon bits. Let me show you. This, and we get them from Sam's Club. I'm actually gonna go ahead and microwave them to get them like unfrozen, thaw them out a little bit, and a little bit crispy before we put them into the eggs. And I can't microwave a metal bowl, so I'll put them in something else. All right, got the eggs cracked, cottage cheese is in there. I'm gonna do another 9x13 with some cooking spray. I did this with the other one, remember, before I did the onions the first time. So the other one is already panned, but I wanted to pan this one too. All right, first in is the onions with the peppers. And in this one, we've got the jalapenos. And the fun thing about egg bites is you can make them however you want. You can put whatever you want in here. Bacon, ham, cheese, no cheese, all vegetables. If you really like a flavor of like, that's the bacon. Egg bite from Starbucks. You can recreate that. We'll put the bacon in first. It smells so good. Right, bacon's in. Oh, you know what we don't have is cheese. So we'll dump some cheese in. You could also add like lumps of cream cheese if you want. You could do shredded like pepper jack would be really good in this. All right, and on the eggs go. So we'll put these over here in the toaster oven, which is on air fry mode. It's cooking at 360, and the other ones have been in for 6 minutes. So I'll just go ahead and put these in, and these will get, you know, more time. And just for a time check, those have been in 6 minutes. They're still really soupy, so I'm just gonna let them stay in there for a while. The butter chicken is nearly done. However, we haven't made the sauce yet, and I'm running out of space in the largest cast iron skillet that we own. So I need to pull out a great big pot and move everything from the skillet into the pot so we can make the sauce. So I'll do that now. And since I've already got a mess, I might as well just do it here where my mess is. I want you to stand over here. I want you to take this. Now I'm gonna lift.
Okay.
And we're gonna dump into here. Ready? So I'm having Anthony move the camera over. We had to move it out of the cast iron skillet because I was running out of space. So we moved it into the largest pot that we own. The chicken I think is done cooking, but we haven't made the sauce yet. So we have to add the chicken broth. That's important. And we still need to add the cream and of course the butter that makes it butter chicken. So I'm gonna add 4 cups of chicken broth now, and we'll kind of gauge to see where that puts us. And if we like the texture of the sauce with just 4 cups, that's good enough. If we want to dilute it some more, we can add more water if we need to. Personally, I think the sauce is the most important part of the butter chicken because you have to have something for the rice to soak up.
That's where the flavor is.
Yeah. So we've got cream, which is important, and we've got butter. I'm gonna cut the butter up into like little like knobs of butter. Essentially, I'm gonna cut it into 8 tablespoons, and we'll just kind of drop it in. But since we poured the chicken from a hot skillet into a cold pot, we need it to heat up again. So we're just gonna let it get hot, and we're gonna leave it alone for a couple minutes while it does that. And then once we're sure that it's hot, then we can add the butter and the cream, and we're done.
Yay.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Because I don't think it needs any more liquid. It looks good to me. What do you think?
I think you're right.
So the butter chicken is now hot enough that we've got bubbles. So I won't say it's boiling, but it's almost kind of simmering. So I've got my whole stick of butter. I'm not doubling or I'm doubling instead of tripling the butter. So I'm not gonna do a stick and a half. I'm gonna do 1 stick of butter for this amount of chicken, and it's gonna be just fine, because I think you can overdo it and it can just get kind of greasy. So butter first. I like to let it sit and watch it melt because I think it's interesting and fun. And then we'll stir it in. And then the last thing we do is we add the cream, and I will add the cream after I turn the heat off. So we're gonna let the butter melt completely first. And as far as dinner goes, it's 8 o'clock, so it's late, but we don't have to make rice because we had Chinese food earlier this week and we have leftover white rice. So we're just gonna use that for the base for our butter chicken tonight, and it's gonna be marvelous. Okay, butter is completely melted. I'm gonna turn the heat off, and then I'm gonna add the cream, and I'm not gonna measure the cream. I'm gonna go by color, and I know I'm gonna start with about half a cup, and we'll stir that in and see where that puts us color wise, because I know where it should be. But this is another thing I don't like to triple. Like if I'm doubling the recipe or tripling the recipe like I am tonight, I don't want to triple the cream because it can get really heavy, and I think it goes a lot further in big batches. I mean, it's not something you can skip entirely. You do have to have the cream, because I've tried it without the cream when I didn't have any in the house and it didn't taste right and I had to run to the grocery store. But it is something you don't have to add as much of if you are looking for something a little bit, I want to say lighter, but this is a really heavy, rich dish. I'm gonna add just a little bit more. We are really close. And would you listen to that? The egg bites timer just went off. So let me stir this in. You know what? I think that touch of cream did it. So I'm gonna have Anthony start heating up the rice now, because we could eat anytime. And I'm going to show you the egg bites now. So I'm going to open up the air fryer. The ones on the bottom are the ham egg bites. They're still jiggly. They're not done. And those were the ones that went in first. So the ones on top, ooh, those are the bacon egg bites. They're not done yet either. I'm going to turn the temperature down to like 340. And we're going to go 12 minutes this time. All right, we are finally ready to eat. Whoops. So everybody gets some chicken, and we gotta go for that sauce. What?
Looks so yummy.
It smells really yummy too. Emma doesn't want as much as everybody else. Mostly because her pouch is too small. You want some sauce? Sure. There. How's that?
That's perfect.
Okay. All right, time to eat. Egg bites are still in the toaster oven, but in the meantime, we're gonna eat. What do you think, baby?
Yum, 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 yum.
It's a whole heck of a lot later now. It's 9:33. The dogs are getting a little snack of peanut butter. Can you believe it? It's already 9:30.
I can't, that's why I had to look.
I know.
You lost your mind.
No, I looked at my watch and I was like, oh my gosh. And I don't know if you saw, but I said it's 9:33. Mom turns around real quick. And she
Look at the clock, like, what?
No, it really is. It's 9:30, 9:34 now. Anyway, egg bites are done. I've already like kind of cut them up into little pieces. So we have, those were the ham. These are the bacon. They got a little brown on top, but Anthony does not mind. We all ate. So we had 4 full servings of butter chicken that we all ate. And then we have 3 of these filled with butter chicken. And when I filled these large containers, I hate to say I measured. I didn't really measure, but I counted the scoops. So there should be 5 full servings in each one of these. So if he eats butter chicken every night, this will give him...
He'll turn into a butter chicken.
He'll turn into butter chicken. But this will give him several meals. And, you know, I don't expect him to eat this for dinner every night. We're going to freeze at least one of them, probably 2 of them. And we'll leave one in the fridge for him. And then these egg bites will freeze. So that'll be nice. And, like, there's 12 in here. 3, 6, 9, 12. 6 plus 8 is 14. Because these I cut a little weird. I don't know why I did it that way, but I did. But I just thought it would be nice to have some food for him, you know? I kind of wanted to.
I think that's really sweet.
And Mom was talking about how she thinks it's funny. Mom was talking about how she thinks it's funny that we made a bunch of dog food.
And then we made a bunch of Anthony food.
And then we made a bunch of Anthony food. And it's not, you know, it is kind of the same thing. I was going to say it's not the same thing. Yes, it is.
It is kind of the same thing.
Because
they're going to be all taken care of while they're taking care of each other while
Right.
we're gone.
yeah, I'm so grateful to him for taking care of them while
Yeah.
we get to go on this trip.
Yeah.
Because we would never get to go. You can't have this. There's ham in it, and it's not good for you.
It's spicy.
We would never get to go if they weren't. Thomas and Anthony both were not
Yeah.
going to be here to take care of them.
Well, we'd have to pay a house sitter. And we are going to pay them, but we know them. They know the pets. It's
We
not going to
trust
take
them.
them out of their routine. It's
They already
so
live
important.
here, and Yogi's new favorite human being is Thomas.
Yeah.
I'm not mad about it, but like when they moved in, I lost my cat to Anthony, and I lost my dog to Thomas. So at least I still have my mom.
Yeah. Yeah. They put up with me.
Yeah, but the
Pets really like them, and Thomas will come down here and sit down on the floor.
and he'll just love on Yogi for 20 minutes, 30
Yeah.
minutes, and just love on her, and it's so sweet.
It really is.
And so I'm just really grateful to both of them.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna, of course, we're gonna compensate them, but at the same time, I want to
Try to take care of them too.
Yeah. And this was fun. I love cooking, and I haven't had the
I love
opportunity.
making stuff in a big batch. The butter chicken keeps. These egg bites keep.
The butter chicken freezes really, really well. And there's a lot of butter chicken in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I think we should freeze 2.
I think so too.
Yeah.
And leave one in the fridge for him.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's gonna be it. But we've done some big batch bulk meal prep for
Yeah.
Anthony, and we're just one step closer to getting ready to go on our trip. Yay!